for today's lesson, I just want you to work on making sure your score counter works, but also then moving on to random numbers. So I'm going to do two things with random numbers. I'm going to place these items randomly around the screen every time we start the game. So when we run, the elephant eats them, and it's all very easy to do. And then when I reset, they appear in exactly the same place. Now on the right hand side, I'm going to just bring in my world, right hand click, open editor, and you can see in my world that they're hardwired with these numbers. The burgers will appear in this position, the elephants will appear in this position. So I'm just going to do it for the first burger. Let's just move it down, don't delete any items of code, but I'm just going to take the code from, and if we go to our classroom, there's a random number, and it puts the code in here, in fact, tells you what to do. What you basically going to do, you can say create a variable called x1 and use this command Greenfoot dot get random number 600. We're using 600 because that's the x coordinate size of the screen and 400 for the y coordinate. So I'm going to use these two lines of code, and notice Greenfoot get random number, lowercase g, capital G, R and capital N. So if I go back to my code, I'm going to start here with int x1 equals Greenfoot dot get random number and 600 semicolon. I'll do exactly the same for y, and if I just finish off with 400 because that's the y coordinate, or that's the largest value it can be. So it's going to generate a random number x1 as the x coordinate. So I'm going to put x1 there, and I'm going to put y1 into here. Now the next time I'm going to do the same again, but in fact I'm just going to take this part of the line. I don't declare the variable again. Int will actually declare it, and it'll give me an issue. It'll say variable already declared. Have a look and see the error. In fact, if I do y1 equals that, so I'm just going to put in here x1, and in that one y1. Let's separate them out. They're really in blocks of 4. But if I compile that now, spell Greenfoot right. And the problem is, because I've copied and pasted that, the error goes right throughout. So compile. So I'd like to see no syntax errors at the bottom. Remember, if you put a capital G, you're going to get syntax errors. Let's have a look. So it tells me that there. So let's put lowercase. You can see the case required. So just get that. So when I just reset, have a look. There's 2 burgers. It looks like a lot of burgers here, but this one is certainly in a random position because it's not there now. It's now moved over here. So 2 of them are moving about, and it just makes the game look a little different each time. That's all. Okay. So in the first instance, that moves them around. So we're going to do that, and each time, let's just see what the error happens if I do try and declare the variable again. It's going to say something like the variable already exists. Let's go and have a look. It says variable x1 is already defined in the method prepare. Oh yeah, of course it is. So let's just get rid of the int. So we don't declare it again. That's Java's way of declaring a variable. Compile, everything fine. Right, I'm going to use that random number now to get these to actually move around. So I'm going to start with the burgers. Let's go to open editor, and I'm going to use its act method. Now up to this point we've used the elephant's act method only because that's what's been working. But now I'm going to int, in fact I don't have to do that at all. So I'm going to use Greenfoot's random number generator to get the objects moving. So here on the burger, I'm going to do its void act method, and void just means it doesn't return a value, it just performs the actions there. So I'm going to say if Greenfoot dot get random number, so I'm going to generate a random number between 100, and I'm going to say if it is less than 70, then move the burger around. So if Greenfoot get random number, check the brackets. So if it's less than 70, all I want it to do is move. Alright, so it's going to give it a 70% chance of moving. So now I'm going to do exactly the same idea. Dot get random number, again out of 100, and I'm going to say if it's less than 30, just looking at different percentages, I'm going to say turn, and I'm going to say turn 25 degrees. We'll see, that might be a little bit too much, and it might look a little jittery. And we'll also do a similar one, but we'll generate a random number again, and we may we'll say minus 25 degrees. Let's go and have a look, see what it looks like. It just gets the object moving around a little bit. So if we now have a look at this, again they've moved randomly. Let's go and have a look. Now you can see the burgers, they're looking a bit jittery, but they're moving around at least. So they're moving one. The problem is it's 600 pixels around. The game doesn't look particularly difficult though. So what I'm going to do, go back to the burger again, and I'm going to adjust these values. So instead of moving one, I'm going to make it move 3, and I'm going to make this, if it's less than 10%, then turn, and I'm not going to get it to turn that much at all, because it does become a little bit daft then. So I'm minus 5, again 10 degrees, so they probably would work moving a lot more of a linear pattern here. Let's run it. So there we are. The problem is now they get stuck on the edge, so we need to get them turned, and I'll talk to you next lesson about how to move them around. Alright, but we're certainly how to get them to turn right around. So let's make the probability a little bit more, but not turning so much each time. Let's compile, and let's run it again. So now you see it again, they still get towards the end, but there's a little bit more movement around. This one's now moving back, and it's turned. At least the elephant though had a good feed there with a number of different ones. So what I want you to try is try out some different values of these random numbers. Maybe make that a little less to stop it moving so many times, but making the probability of them turning, or even turning a little less than 25 in this time, but making the probability maybe 40 and 40, and just seeing what sort of numbers you come up with to make it look a little bit more like the game is. Oh, well, at least I know they've moved around, but they're still hovering down in that corner, except for this one here, which I'm trying to get. I'll get the lemons to do the same as well. Okay, so that's random numbers, and that'll be your session.